So, and the researcher didn't just go and give people to tick box and say agree or disagree. No, he went and talked to the people in the community right there. He understood the feelings of the people. They were even able to show him the impact, the concern, and the fear, what they get in every day. So communication was the kind of link the researcher and the community to understand one another of what it takes for people to understand the climate change. Now, the community people were not just informants. No, they were part and parcel of the community. They agreed, jointly they agreed on the causes. They agreed on the impact. They agreed on solutions. What was surprising to us is that they turn, when you do the research, you have the key findings. For them, they had the key actions. Very interestingly, again, the people who are, you can't bring everybody in the community around the researcher, so you have to choose a few people. Those few people were not concerned about themselves, but they were concerned about others, about their friends, about their families, about their neighbors. And they said, what can we do to bring this great message to these great people? And we said, look, do you have cell phones? They said, yes, we have cell phones. Let's communicate. Give us the message. And they said, we need, and some they had cell phones, they didn't know how to send the messages, so we teach them how to send the messages. So even if the researcher has written a report back to his client, the research, the knowledge that was found in the community was already in action, and it was already communicated. Now, at the end of that process, seeing people how were excited, see people how they were ready to move with that knowledge, put the knowledge into the lab and get solutions and solve their solutions, their problems. And I was a little bit skeptical, honestly, because I worked in the community since when I was 17, and I know the dynamic of the community, how it works, really. So I told my team, I said, this response is just for today and tomorrow. Maybe they are doing it to please us and their leaders. I don't think this response will be sustainable. And so we decided a year ago to go back and follow up. Well, I was wrong. We found that people are still continuing implying and applying the knowledge that they received from the session of 2 weeks research. We ran to the lady and she said, I've never missed any single session of planting mangrove trees because we know it also a life for marines. And the younger man says, we stopped polluting the river because we know it's life for other species. The interesting part of it is they use that knowledge of 2 weeks research with the scientists to connect with their lives and be able to form the actions to mitigate the impact of climate change. Now, this is what we learn. Communication should not be an add-on, just come at the end. It should be brought as early as possible in the research and play. Evidence are within the people. The evidence are within the researchers. That's the fact. So the communication needs to bring these people together. Those who have solutions, those who have the evidence, to create a mutual understanding for the action forward. Communication can transform the research, not to make a research as just information change. How can they do that if they're not engaged? That's where the role of communication comes in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. Now we'll hear from Kai Lintunen about how we can communicate abstract issues, how we can turn issues like bioeconomy into rock and roll through telling human stories that people can relate to.
Thanks, Caroline. Yes, the emerging bioeconomy is supposed to be almost like the second sun that will shine its light on us, right? Okay, here's a couple of definitions of bioeconomy that circulate the world. So, are we clear on this? I mean, are we understandable, or do we overwhelm people? Because at the same time, the old school, the fossil fuel guys, they're clear on their messaging. They're very precise and very punchy, very simplified. And meanwhile, some of the forest issues are very high on the environmental discussion agenda. Like we heard today already, deforestation, illegal logging, sustainability of biomass use, and so forth. One cannot but wonder sometimes that we're, as the custodians of a renewable, responsibly, sustainably managed resource, how do we end up in the bad people's corner? We have a challenge as a sector, as a communicators, that people don't understand what bioeconomy is. So we need to be vocal and proud to communicate that. If we're not going to do it, someone else will do it on our behalf, and they already are. So we have this marvelous, marvelous, marvelous case, but we need to turn it into appealing stories that are relevant to people. It is abstract, but we use it every day of our lives. But first we need to digest it and get to know the stuff in order to be convincing to others and win them over. All of us here are in the solutions.
which bring into question